Talk about a trailer-mounted unit. This is a Hydrotech gas engine drive hot water, and the complaint from this customer was there was no heat, and apparently they just had the unit worked on, and the technician that was here before diagnosed it as a solenoid coil. The coil was bad. And so what I did when I got here was I went ahead and I started it up, and sure enough, the burner wasn't working. It seemed like it would ignite briefly and then go out. Did that a couple of times. Again, following our typical routine troubleshooting procedure, I went ahead and I disconnected the wire from the fuel solenoid, ran the unit, called for burner, put my electrical terminals into the pigtail, got 110 volts, so that tells me that it's not a electrical or a mechanical issue with my safety switches. On this one we have a toggle switch and we have a flow switch. This one has always been a little difficult to get in, but when it does line up, it goes right in nice and tight. This one has got a flow switch. It also has a thermostat on the panel and a toggle switch, so we know all those are working. We're getting signal over here, we're just not pumping, so I can tell through the cracks in the air band that the fuel pump is turning. The fuel filter cup appears to be clean. What I did was I actually took the cap screws off of the top of the fuel pump, the face of the fuel pump, took the cover off the fuel pump. Underneath that cover is a wire cup strainer. Occasionally that gets dirty. It's pretty uncommon though when you've got a decent filter on the inlet side like this one. But I thought, well, the thing's igniting and then it goes out, much like it has got a plug fuel filter. That strainer inside here was clean, so I reinstalled it, tightened down the hex caps, screws, checked the fuel tank, make sure we had fuel, which I should have done to begin with. And I don't know if the camera can pick it up or not, but it's pretty obvious that there's fuel in the tank. And then what I did is I walked back around to the back side of the machine, because occasionally on some of these units on the back of the fuel tanks, there's little ball valves. This one at the bottom of the fuel tank does not have a ball valve, a shut-off valve. So I knew that wasn't the problem. But I did notice when I took off the cover to the fuel pump, I noticed that it spun out of the way pretty easy. It almost like this connection right here was loose. And so what I found was that the spring clamp that goes on this, it was actually in place, but it was loose. It was just barely hanging there. It wasn't even tightening anything up. So I went ahead and I didn't have to use my pliers. I just slid that out of the way. I installed a screw clamp right on the inlet side, tightened that down. Then I went ahead and I disconnected my fuel line. I bent the fuel line straight out to where it would go ahead and just shoot out here onto the ground without spraying me or my tools, because that kind of sucks, smelling like diesel all day. Then I went in and started the unit, called for diesel, and sure enough, it started squirting out fuel. And at first it was foamy because it was air in the line. After about 30 or 45 seconds or so, all the foam cleared up, and it was a nice steady stream shooting right out here on the ground. So I went ahead and I opened up the transformer door, and I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and check the drawer assembly, which I did where the electrodes are mounted. That was pretty dirty, so I pulled that out while I was here as a courtesy to the customer, laid it on the ground, held it with my foot. You've seen that in other training videos. Used the pressure washer gun, go ahead and clean it up, top and bottom and sides, put it back in, reattach the copper fuel line, tighten that up, making sure that I didn't dislodge any of the wiring right here to the fuel solenoid. Then I went ahead and I started it up. Sure enough, burner worked, burner lights, burns clean, runs good. So it's just something else to look for when we have a no burner situation, especially on the suction side of the system. We've got to have tight connections. So it's not obvious, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's something to be aware of, as making sure a lot of times if you see these spring clamps, they don't do a real good job clamping when the hose is brand new and soft, but is old. You can see the hose is yellow and brittle. There's no way something like a spring clamp is going to be able to clamp down on that hose. So when you see spring clamps on an old hose, hopefully a light will go off and you'll know, hey, you know what, just as a courtesy to the customer, we better put a screw clamp on there, and that'll eliminate one possible source of it sucking air into the system, which is what was happening here. It would ignite, And then because it had to work for its fuel coming out of the tank, it went ahead and once it found an air leak, it went ahead and sucked air into the system. If you have any questions, check with your supervisor or contact us at www.aefresno.com.